Welcome to this week's edition of People and Earth. My name is Grace Malahleki. Now, Zimbabwe observes a tree planting day every first Saturday of December every year, with a special focus on urban reforestation. This year's edition is going to be celebrated under the theme Beautification of Cities and Towns, Green Movement Initiative. And to help us unpack the significance of tree planting in urban areas and beyond, we are joined by Mr. Duncan Chiwala, who is the District Forest Officer of the Harare Metropolitan Province. Now, Mr. Chiwala is from the Forestry Commission. Welcome, sir, to People and Earth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having joined us. Now, what is the significance of the National Tree Planting Day?
On our environmental calendar, this is a very important day on which we encourage all the citizenry to plant trees, because trees play a very pivotal role in the sustenance of our livelihoods. So I would like to commend you for putting it straight that the first Saturday, not the 1st December. A lot of people confuse 1st December versus 1st Saturday. So you said it correctly to say 1st Saturday. That's when we commemorate this day.
All right. So from when was this day initiated in Zimbabwe? Which year?
I would rather say 1981. That's when we started commemorating this tree planting day. Mm-hmm. Since then, up to date, you are always reminding each other to plant trees.
All right. So from 1980 up until now, how has the public taken up this initiative from the government and from the Forestry Commission?
People have taken it up, and the level of seriousness is growing up on a daily basis now that you are experiencing climate change. In the beginning, when we were talking about tree planting, people were hesitant to take it up. But now the fact that we are living in the era where we are seeing the effects of climate change, now everybody wants to come on board to make sure they try to have climate resilience in terms of living with this pandemic that we have.
All right. This year, your theme is Beautification of Cities and Towns, Green Movement Initiative. Kindly just expand on this theme and its significance.
In line with the Vision 2030, we are trying to make sure our standards reach those of the other countries and is in line, in tandem with what's happening in other countries. So we are also trying to spruce up the image of the nation in terms of decorating our streets to make sure they're up to standard, and to make sure that we win the glory or the beauty or the scenic view of our country, so that when it comes to marketing, the cleanliness, everything, then we are not found at fault to be lagging behind.
Mm. Now, we understand that you have a target of planting 20 million trees across the country. Now, is this goal achievable? Because 20 million trees, that's quite a lot. And how do you aim to achieve this?
Okay, it's achievable. 20 million is just, we set ourselves a target, a minimum of 20 million. You can even plant more if we want, so long there is a space and people are willing to go. Because mind you, since 2016, we have been losing massive forest area, which we lost a lot of forest cover. So we want to replace those trees to make sure they go back into our system to restore all the things that have been done wrongly of late. So it's actually achievable. For us to achieve this, we have got our partners that we work with. We have got Nyaradzo, Friends of the Environment. We have got National and Tobacco. We have got SA. We have got trees, My Trees. We have got trees for Harare. That is in Harare Metropolitan I'm talking about. So you find that out there, we do have our local authorities. Here in Harare, we have got Rural Local Board, Epworth Local Board. We have got Harare City Council. We have got Chitungwiza. So all these are mandated to make sure they look after the environment and plant more trees where possible. We have got recreational parks, like what Nyaradzo is doing in wherever they bury the dead, they plant tree. which means our cemeteries will be a green belt very soon because we are actually planting trees there.
All right.
So this target is actually achievable. Going out in the rural areas, you find that in the rural areas, we have got the RDCs. RDCs too are busy planting trees, starting from the onset of the rains.
All right. You mentioned that quite a number of stakeholders will be helping you in this initiative. But where are they going to get the trees from? Does the Forestry Commission provide trees, or a community has its own banks that they'll take the trees from? How exactly is this program going to be put forward?
Okay, that's a very beautiful question. You find that all these companies that I've mentioned, they do have their own nurseries where they'll get the planting material and they go and do the planting. So with this exercise of beautification, it's a matter of getting the trees from their own nurseries to go and do the planting. So this is not the time to start sourcing where am I going to get the trees to plant, but so they'll be getting from their own nurseries and going to planting. But we cannot leave out the local authority, because these are the owners of the land and they know what's best to, how best to do it, in the sense that if we go in people's places and plant randomly, this is disorderly. So if for us to do it, we need to follow the master plan. The master plan actually prescribes that this is what it needs to be done here and this is what's to be done there. So we are complementing the government effort in terms of beautification.
All right. Since this drive, that a lot of trees have to be planted, what factors have led to the depletion of the forests that we have, that have been leading to deforestation to this rate?
Okay, I would rather say that since 2016, that's when we realized that we're losing a lot of forest cover in terms of the areas that were once dominated with trees, but now they are not trees. Right, they are drivers of deforestation. The first one, it's urban expansion. So the moment urban areas expand, they will need to secure adjacent farm area. After that, then there's also issue of agricultural expansion. So when we are expanding our fields, normally people don't follow the criteria to say this and that, and they go and consult the local leadership. People just go and expand so long they've got title deeds to their cropland.
All right, Mr. Chiwala, I'll have to cut you off there. We have to take a short break. Viewers, please stand by. We'll take up this discussion after the break. Welcome back. You are still watching People and the Earth. Now, before the break, Mr. Chiwala was expanding more on how human activities are contributing to deforestation. Now, you can continue from where we left off.
Okay. You find that in urban areas, many people that are building their homes. So for them to run away from purchasing already made bricks, some they've got financial problems such that they would prefer to have their own farm bricks for building their homes. So the moment they have those ovens of bricks, so they only rush to the forest or cut down trees to furnish those brick furnaces. So they will just use already material that is at their disposal to furnish those. So that's you find that there's a lot of these ovens where people are making bricks and they sell to those home seekers, to all those ones to expand their homes. So this is the predicament that we are finding ourselves in. Also, we have an issue whereby people just, the tendency with our culture is once you reach the age of getting married, you would want your own home, your own place of your own, which you would build your own home and the like. So normally the local leadership would direct you where you can put up your home and the extent of the field and so forth. So by so doing, you find that you cannot grow your crops under the trees. So people have got a tendency of cutting down the trees. After cutting down the trees, then they grow their agricultural crops. That being in picture, putting all those nitty-gritties in the complexity of the matters that I've talked about, this is what led to the loss of 330,000 hectares per annum that we started experiencing since 2016.
That's quite a vast tract of land that has been destroyed. Now, what are some of the challenges that occur to the ecosystem as a result of deforestation?
The biggest challenge is this of climate change. Climate change, it has taken place over a long period of time. Since the advent of tree cutting, uncontrollable to some extent, you find that our ozone layer started having some holes. Up there, there's in the stratosphere, the ozone depleting gases, they've actually damaged our ozone layer, such that to this date, as we are talking, you find that there are high ultraviolet waves reaching us as we stand on the earth here. These high ultraviolet waves, they've got a tendency, in the long run, they will actually damage our eyesight. Would also develop some skin cancers, this and that, because of the intensity of the sunlight itself. So actually God, at creation, He created this to cushion us from such effects. So we are actually damaging our earth by creating greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are not good for our health, are not good for our economy, they are not good for anyone, because they're actually giving us problems in terms of trying to be self-sustainable in terms of food efficiency and nutrition in the agriculture.
Now, as the Forestry Commission, you have been observing the land being degraded, you have been observing deforestation taking place. What measures or what is within your power, or are you able to stop deforestation from happening?
I would say we would need government support in terms of resource mobilization. What we need now is if we could get a lot of assistance, even when it comes to conscientization, we need to make ourselves a neighbor. We need to be conscious about the value or importance of a tree, so that people stop this unnecessary wanton destruction. And so that we stop these veiled fires, because the veiled fires will be adding more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which are some of the greenhouse gases that cause climate change. And trees are the only resources that would sequestrate excess carbon that is in the atmosphere during photosynthesis. So they will take up that excess carbon dioxide during photosynthesis and give us clean air to breathe, or that's oxygen. So you find that if each and every farmer would take it upon himself to evaluate, think before cutting down a tree, probably that would stop would reduce the amount of inconvenience we are creating on this earth.
All right, so apart from awareness campaigns, educating the public and the farmers to desist from wanton cutting down of trees, is there any legislation in place, that can curb the wanton destruction of our forests?
Oh, true, there is. We have got a Forest Act. Forest Act, it actually mandates us to preserve the environment. When we talk of preserving, it's different from conservation, from preservation. We are actually, when we are conserving, we are putting tree resources to good use, to wise use, in fact. Unlike when you are talking of preservation, you keep it in that state. But you are saying preservation is not good for our economy. But at the moment we use wisely, it helps us to go forward and also not to be wasteful in terms of the tree resources. So you find that the pieces of legislation that we've got the Forest Act, we've got the SI 116, we've got the Traditional Leaders Act, we've got the EMA Act. All these pieces of legislation that have been crafted to make sure that it helps us conserve our environment and live sustainably in a responsible way.
All right, so if all that legislation is in place, where are we getting it wrong? Is it the enforcement or the fines, or if they are prison terms, are they not deterrent enough? Because we see these problems recurring every year on a larger scale.
Yes, I would say all the points that you have mentioned, they contribute to this, because our fines are not deterrent enough, they're not punitive enough. So you find that to a rapist, normally you'll be given 14 years or so. And those people who are charged for stock theft, they're 9 years imprisonment. But as for trees, you'll be made to pay paltry $500. Then you're out. You are out of bail and you are free. You are free man. So the moment people realize a loophole to say that $500, I can easily fetch this money. If I create an environmental crime, I can as well pay for it without any hassle. So people won't take it seriously to fear committing such kind of crimes.
All right. On that note, we take another short break. Viewers, please don't go away. Stay with us. Welcome back to People and Earth. I am talking to Mr. Chiwala from the Forestry Commission of Zimbabwe. Now, Mr. Chiwala, tell us about the 330-300 rule that governs the urban areas when it comes to tree planting.
This is a good concept in the sense that it encourages the development or the spread of forest cover or tree cover in areas where we live. Like we are saying in this concept, if each homestead can have 3 trees, no matter how small the area could be, with this issue of trying to address food security and nutrition, I think anybody can spare space to plant 3 fruit trees at his home. So by so doing, planting 3 trees at each home, imagine how many homes we do every year in Harare. Massive. So in a way, we'll be trying to increase or restore back the lost forest cover that we had. Furthermore, the 30 mark of it, it talks about having at least 30 trees in a community. Okay. Then the 300, we're talking about the recreational areas. So by so doing, you find that our area will be restoring back the lost vegetation back into the system, and they will be living in healthier environment with less of diseases, and they probably will be addressing some of the ills that we are currently facing.
All right. Interesting to note that you mentioned that each household under this concept is mandated to plant at least 3 trees. Mm-hmm. Now, in looking at our high-density areas, is it possible?
Very possible. I remember in Kwadzana, the portions of stands, some of it probably it could be about 200, 300. So actually, if it comes to a fruit tree, people would sacrifice, other than putting a shade tree, which is a very big canopy. But if it comes to a fruit tree whereby they know that I'll get my mango from this tree, I'll be getting my avocados from this tree, people can sacrifice space. Even if you go outside the Jurao, you find there are 2 or so species. I'm talking of a thing or things that are currently existing right now.
All right. So is it a law that people have to follow in the urban areas, or is just something that they should do? Is there a specific law on the 330-300 concept?
It's just a concept that some people thought over it, and they think it will be able to restore the lost vegetation. It's not a law as such. It hasn't come to that extent to say we are making it mandatory to force people to plant trees. No, it's just a concept that if we could do this, our target of planting so many trees is achievable.
All right. Back to our theme, beautification of cities and towns. Now, over the years, a lot of trees have been planted in the CBD, but 2-3 years down the line, you see that tree is no longer there. What measures are in place to ensure that the trees which are planted will grow, to 30, 40 years?
Of late, what used to happen is people would do things as they please. So enforcement wasn't all that strict. So people were at liberty to do as they please. Right now there's a change of focus to the Harare Metro Province itself has come under one leadership who is working with experts in terms of coming up with the town planning. Developing that master plan will actually guide us to know how to handle all these issues in terms of planting trees and what needs to go there. There's a lot of experts who are involved. I think this is the right time to put our house in order, and this is what is happening now. Everything is now according to the plan, and they are following that plan.
All right, Mr. Chiwala, your parting words as we draw closer to the National Tree Planting Day.
Okay, I would like to encourage the citizenry of this country that this planet Earth is God's creation that was meant to take care of us in terms of our needs. So it should be handled carefully with due respect. Imagine if one tree can keep 4 people breathing in a year, which means a tree or a forest is the industry that helps us to breathe. So we should actually respect a tree for that purpose. And that same tree will be able to sequestrate carbon that would have been polluted by traffic having traveled 17,400 kilometers. That's one tree that is evergreen throughout the year. It will be able to take up those toxins that are emitted by moving traffic. So you find that this planet Earth, it needs us more in terms of caring, not to handle it without due consideration, plundering the resources that God gave us. No, that shows we don't respect creation. So we should take care of it. And my parting words, I would like to encourage each and every citizenry to consider tree planting in their localities, wherever they're in the farms, to plant trees, particularly to the tobacco farmers. The fact that their industry relies on wood energy for curing, let them develop on eucalyptus woodlots where they would get the wood and they put it on in their barns and burn to cure the tobacco. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to encourage the cutting down of trees, but they should use other alternatives of energy, clean energy, green energy, to use for household chores.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chiwala, for having joined us for this episode of People and Earth. Well, viewers, you have been watching People and Earth, where we were discussing the importance of preserving our trees. I am Grace Malahleki. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.